ask ourselves the question, what if? And I think it's the what if questions that gave us the advantage in terms of our product quality, product features, product safety, and product sustainability.
This podcast is for informational purposes only. We are not medical professionals and do not provide medical advice. Consult a healthcare provider for any health concerns. Opinions expressed are not a substitute for professional medical guidance.
Welcome to the Optimize We podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay O'Neill, and I'm super excited to kick off this series of interviews and biohacking truths without the BS with you. Hello and welcome to the Optimize We podcast, where we share biohacking truths and no BS ever. I'm your host, Lindsay O'Neill, and I'm joined by two amazing gentlemen who have created an incredible company that is transforming the lives of millions of people and some of our favorite sports celebrities around the world. I'm joined by Shah and Michael from Oxygen Health Systems. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So one of the reasons why I love talking about your company is not only because you work with some of my favorite sports teams. I grew up in New York, and I know you work with the Yankees, right? And you work with the Giants as well.
Right.
There we go. Go Giants. They've been pretty terrible the last couple of years, but maybe they need to get more of their guys into hyperbaric oxygen therapy. But I also have recently interviewed and released a podcast with Dr. Jason Saunders from HBOT USA, and he's an amazing advocate for HBOT therapy and has done a lot of research around the impact of all different types of chambers. So I wanted to ask you guys, how did you first get into this? How did you meet each other? And then I want to eventually lead the conversation down to the efficacy around hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
So our career started at Lucent Technologies Bell Labs. We are Bell Labs engineers. Back in 2003, I met Michael for the first time when I was transferred from Massachusetts to Naperville, Illinois. So once I came here, I had absolutely no one. So that was the first family and my colleague that I met in 2003. So that was 22 years ago. So anyway, after we started to work together, it just happened so that we work for the same engineering department. So needless to say, once you work with an individual day in and day out, you get to know their personality. You get to see, what kind of, characters and what, their makeup is. So we got along just fine. And in the meantime, Michael and I, we were both thinking that, it's enough to work in corporations in indentured servitude in perpetuity, and it's time to do something different. So Michael is the one who started the company, and then later I joined. So that's the story.
So Michael, how did you first come across HBOT?
So I was introduced to HBOT by my doctor, who told me to look into utilizing HBOT as an additional modality as I was struggling with some health challenges. I was actually forced out of my job because of my health challenges. I had to focus on my health full time. As I consulted many doctors. Hyperbarics was one of the things that came up. And as I investigated hyperbaric oxygen treatment, I actually took a job with NATO in Afghanistan for 3 years and came back from Afghanistan with a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. At that point, I had a decision to make whether I was going to go naturopathic route or conventional route. Between me and my wife, we decided I was going to go with the conventional route. So I worked for 3 years on the studying naturopathic approaches to healing my situation. And as I consulted with naturopathic doctors and conventional doctors, Hyperbaric was recommended.
That's amazing. I mean, there are so many people that have pain to purpose stories. So not only was it painful to kind of work for the man in indentured servitude, as Shah said, but it's also painful to go through a massive health issue, especially when you're working abroad or, changing locations. So good for you for taking that step, not only to heal yourself using hyperbaric oxygen treatments, but also creating a company to help others do the same.
And looking at some of the marketing that companies, a light bulb went off in my head that I thought I could do better.
Hmm.
And that was a very bright light bulb that went off and set me on the path of creating products that could make a difference for other people in similar type of conditions.
That's amazing. When I first got into this industry, I had a very similar light bulb that went off because I spent most of my career working in advertising and marketing. And unlike you guys come from an engineering background and a marketing background. A lot of these founders of these, like the chambers that you're representing, or even hydrogen water bottles, or any of these contraptions, mostly are created by scientists or doctors who are not innately marketers. And it's a beautiful thing because in this day and age, we're bombarded by marketing messages all of the time. And we're bombarded by promises of health optimization and healing. And it's almost overwhelming, which is why we created the Biohacking Index, which you guys are the shining stars on, by the way. You have amazing reviews, and you're featured in the July index report, and soon to be featured in the August index report as well. So tell me a little bit about how you went from this idea of helping these companies market themselves to running one of the largest or the largest distribution for hyperbaric oxygen chambers in the United States and beyond.
When we first looked into this hyperbaric market, we saw complicity. They had a set of design, and we noticed that complete stagnation.
Mm.
I'm talking a set of features that were so antiquated that they had not made any changes whatsoever over the last 2 decades. So Michael and I, we had an idea. What if we take the hyperbaric into a new platform, leapfrog the features, whatever that may be? We were contemplating and concocting these features in our head. And we said, why don't we leave these set of features, so-called, great features and whatnot, and we just light years away, we just move, right into the future.
Right.
So we started to come up with ideas. Some of these ideas were really crazy. It never turned out. But among some of these crazy ideas, what we have today is a set of products with 40 plus different chamber models and incredible feature sets, be that high efficiency air conditioner because the temperature goes up, or coming up with window design that is almost impossible to cause a rupture or tear. Once we started to take the idea that let's just think of a set of ideas that are way far beyond the norm, what's available out there, it just opened a new set of opportunities for us. No one could, catch it. Michael, what do you say?
Yeah, I think in my mind, the thought process was to slowly creep up and develop the feature sets that were well above our competition so that we could clearly say that, hey, we are the leaders now. And, not necessarily have our competition know that we're developing all these feature sets.
Mm.
And we have quite a number of features that our competition does not have.
And do you manufacture in the United States?
But we do, the designs are done here in the United States, enhancements and all of those ideas and crazy thoughts are done here on the drawing board here in the US, but we get them prototype made overseas. And then we also do the manufacturing.
That's
That's the
great.
industry.
They're very cool chambers. So, and I applaud you guys for having over 40 models on your show floor. And you're just outside of Chicago, right?
That is correct. Yep.
Awesome. I have to come and visit because this is.
Please do.
I'll be honest, you go in the candy
It's a
store.
playground.
Yeah.
We have a 20,000 square foot building in Woodridge, Illinois.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. And you're also customizing chambers for different either teams or med spas or different wellness centers around the country as well, too.
Absolutely. Be that professional teams, your team, for instance, or any other team for that matter, when they have special requirements, they would come to us. It could be a sports team. It could be a plastic surgery place. It could be an MD or functional medicine practitioners. They could be board certified in certain areas, but they entered into the functional medicine with certain needs and specific type of chambers. So we will design those based on their requirements. So needless to say, we work very closely with doctors.
One of the needs that I've come across, and I'd love for you guys to elaborate on the different indications that are approved by the FDA, but also what other research has shown that HBOT is helpful for. My daughter was at a trampoline park a couple of months ago, and someone jumped on her head, and she sustained a pretty significant concussion that she had for about 3 weeks. And the first thing I wanted to do is get her in a chamber, but unfortunately, we don't have a chamber close by. Every time I tried to make an appointment, the chambers were already booked. So I was kind of out of luck with my daughter. But I know for a lot of these professional athletes, concussions are one of the primary use cases for HBOT. Are there others?
Yes, boxing is one of the other areas that we are checking and notice. The world champion Canelo Alvarez, he is our client,
Cool.
and as well as Olympic boxers, mixed martial artists, and so on and so forth. They too support their TBI, or to stay one step ahead before the injury happens.
Right. Yeah, because you can actually build up a stronger foundation because you're essentially just adding more oxygen into the blood, which is where deep cellular renewal comes from, correct? Am I right? I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. The one thing to keep in mind that when you talk about primary oxygen transport mechanism, it's your hemoglobin. That's about 98.5. The oxygen transport mechanism comes through the hemoglobin. But there's also one area that is often ignored, and that is the plasma oxygen transport mechanism via blood plasma. What happens in hyperbaric chamber in a highly pressurized environment? You infuse the oxygen molecules into blood plasma, and that goes up as high as 20x. So just imagine, besides your hemoglobin primary oxygen transport mechanism with which we receive the nutrients and oxygen throughout our body, throughout our 100,000 kilometer of vascular network, by going inside a pressurized chamber, you're introducing one additional oxygen transport mechanism via blood plasma. And that is the secret, or rather the way that the body works. And in turn would allow you to have that abundance of oxygen throughout your vascular network.
We always talk about biohacking as the body's ability to support itself in naturally healing itself and optimizing your health. And so it sounds like doing sort of a prophylactic HBOT treatment, however often needed could really set you up for strength and resilience, especially if you're a professional athlete and you're getting knocked in the head a bunch of times during a fight. Um, but what else? So I think I know that some of the indications that are approved are like infection to the bone. Is it being used?
13 of them. Yeah, there are 13 of them. It could be gas embolism. Gas embolism is, which I already talked about. So there are altogether 13. It's not the 13 that the doctors are focusing. The doctors are focusing the emerging reported benefits. So the physicians who are working with the functional approach, the integrative approach, besides the 13, they are focusing on the additional emerging applications,
Right.
such as TBI, or it could be the post augmentation surgery, neck up or neck down, or
Right.
So it's the emerging applications that the doctors are focusing, besides
Right.
the 13 indications.
And then people are just implementing these in their house. And I think because you guys have so many different varying types of models, right? You probably even have some that are affordable enough to go into your home, right?
That is correct.
So we have chambers starting at $8,495. That would be a 1.3 ATA chamber. All our pricing is based on pressure, feature sets, accessibility, and so forth. On the high end, we have chambers in the $80,000 price range that would be, for example, a 4-person multi-place chamber for wellness centers and spas. But we do have more than 20 different styles in affordable range for home users.
And you also mentioned putting in some additional features that keep people safe. I think one of the reasons why a lot of home usage hasn't really taken off as much as it possibly could, you hear all of the terrible stories, right? Of
Yeah.
someone in a hyperbaric chamber who it's torn and then they, rupture their eardrums, or it causes significant damage to them, to the person inside. Or somebody gets in there in someone else's home and gets claustrophobic and tries to get themselves out before the chamber has time to depressurize. So how do you guys build your chambers so that they are the safest possible chambers possible?
Crazy ideas sometimes. And then we talk about the safety features based on standard primary, secondary, and in often cases, we would go tertiary and then tertiary prime. So for instance, let's talk about the safety valve. Not only do we have the primary and secondary safety valves on our high pressure chambers, we also thought of a tertiary and tertiary prime safety valves. So if the primary fails, it's a secondary would kick in. If the secondary fails, it's a tertiary that would kick in. If the tertiary fails, then it would be the other one that would kick in. What are the mathematical probability that all 4 valves would go bad?
Right.
It's nearly impossible.
Right.
Or how about, let's talk about our home chambers.
Right.
The windows are the weakest link.
Mm.
When our competitors are using only 1 seam or welding, we're using 5 seams or pentaseam. What is the probability that all 5 seams would pop?
Right.
0. So we run these mathematical models and analysis. What are the chances of having a failure of a failure of a failure of a failure? And that's how we come up with our chamber, design features. Speaking of these fire and whatnot, we don't use oxygen tank because, that can be flammable.
Right.
We're using compressed air, which is the constituent is 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen. And that's not flammable. 21% oxygen is what we breathe here at normal sea level. I'm at 680 feet above the sea level, and that's 21%.
Wow.
So by asking those questions based on empirical truth, we come up with design features and safety features, something that, others would not consider. And that's why people choose our chambers over others.
That's probably the most important reason to choose your chambers over others. But it does sound like you do follow a lot of the rules from outside governing bodies as well. I know there's the FDA and then there's ISO is one of the other ones. So tell me a little bit more about their regulatory governance over what you guys are doing.
We would not take any manufacturing processes other than the internationally recognized ISO standards.
Mm.
That's our number one rule of thumb. Michael and I, we believe that there is a product out there or there is a material out there, but it doesn't have the compliance. We will not select that product.
Mm.
So from the perspective of internationally recognized standards, we adhere to the ISO standards.
Mm.
So we know that it has good, sustainable manufacturing practices and it is quality and it is recognized by international authorities.
And how often do you visit your manufacturing facilities?
Well, you want to tell Lindsay about your recent trip to the manufacturing facility, Michael?
So we visit our manufacturing facility once per year.
Yeah, you had a good time. I remember seeing those videos.
I'm not sure if I would want to talk about because I've only been there one time. I'm not sure that
Well, there are a couple of ways to say that. Your visit once, and then we make sure that we get together with the manufacturing individuals here in the United States. And that happens every year, sometimes twice a year. For instance, we had a meeting a month ago, and in November, we'll have another meeting. And these are all in person here in the United States.
Very cool. So when you are meeting with you're both engineers, right? So you have all of these big ideas. Do you ever come across an idea that is just not possible to do?
Yes, some of these crazy ideas, even though they are far-fetched, but we nonetheless entertain. It reminds me of a very funny HP commercial. And I have 15 years of HP background. A whole bunch of engineers were coming up with very sophisticated commercial printers. And then one of the engineers says, "What if?" And the next scene shows a whole bunch of HP engineers, both male and female, just sitting in a lawn. And there's this HP printer mowing the lawn.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we try to always explore new frontiers, always ask ourselves the question, what if? And I think it's the what if questions that gave us the advantage in terms of our product quality, product features, product safety, and product sustainability. Some of these products are in use for years. And one of the reasons that they are well sought after by our clients, simply because we think outside of the logs. We always say, what if? What if? What if we add this? What if we add this safety feature?
Now,
What if we-
what is your favorite feature? What's the coolest feature that you think you've built into a chamber?
I say it's the starlight. What do you think, Michael?
Well, Starlight is the coolest feature, but my favorite feature is air conditioning because many people can't live without air conditioning. Many people would feel claustrophobic even without the air conditioning system. So air conditioning is something we've integrated into all of our system, even our soft chambers.
And mine is the starlight. Lindsay, you have seen the Bentley with the headliner,
Yes.
the star on the headliner. So we said, what can we do to reduce the anxiety-prone patient's anxiousness
Mm.
and reduce, in turn, the psychosomatic symptoms?
Yeah.
So we started to do the research and we said, why don't we add dark ambience, resets the lighting, and then a starlight. So as you look up, instead of feeling you are confined in a metal tube, the sound absorbing material will remove the echo effect. And for that, we selected special sound absorbing material. And then this gently lit up ambient light will accentuate the starlight right above your head.
That's so
So you don't feel like you're in a confined room. And medically proven, we have had doctors who are giving, us this statement that these are doctors, that they up to themselves are, somewhat claustrophobic in a confined room. And they're saying that, you know what? I have not felt anything ever in an MRI machine or an environment that we are very prone to become nervous. The doctors themselves, board certified physicians, are saying that, you know what? This is a great feature that you can.
That's very cool. I want to use that chamber. I wish it could happen.
Come on over.
And it's great that you can do this even for the lower cost models as well, because it's not just about providing a luxury experience for the people who can afford luxury experiences. It's about providing a luxury experience for everyone while you're healing and while you're optimizing your health, which is awesome. So congrats to you guys for making some cool features that a lot of people will really, really enjoy. Now, what's your favorite client?
I have mine. I will let Michael speak. My favorites are the physicians, the plastic surgeons and physicians. They are my favorite because I like working with them, listening to them, what they want, and what are some of the challenges that they face. For example, if you are going through a plastic surgery, the last thing you want to do is be in a supine position, supine meaning in laid out position.
Right.
So once I talk to the plastic surgeons and other physicians of certain backgrounds, it gives us, an opportunity to see what they want. And it gives us an enormous challenge, but we come out of it almost every single time. In only a handful number of cases, we said that it cannot be done because of certain constrictions. But in most cases, we listen, we make it happen.
Mm.
It's such an exciting feeling that we made it happen. So that's my favorite. What's yours, Michael?
My favorite client would be the home consumer, primarily because many home consumers, I can identify with the challenges that they're facing.
Right.
So
It's interesting because on one hand, Shah, you're very excited about the amplification through like one to many. And then Michael, because of your personal story of healing and what HBOT has done for your life, you're really excited about the person who is really leaning into optimizing their health. And I mean, even $8,500 is a significant investment, but what's the cost of illness? And what's the cost of grave injury? So, good on you guys for those answers. Now, I have a couple more questions because when I spoke to Dr. Jason Saunders, some of the research that he had done was around efficacy between the soft chambers, which don't pressurize to a high atmosphere, and the hard chambers that are able to get up to 2.1 or greater, right? Up to 3
Yeah.
atmospheres.
Yeah, we have 2.0 and 3.1. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
So when you are working with one of your favorite clients, let's just say it's a doctor or an individual person, do you consult with them? What kind of questions do you ask them? What is your most recommended chamber on the market?
Working with doctors, it makes it a bit easier because they tell us their application
Mm.
right away that this is what they're trying to achieve. Generally speaking, doctors who are looking for neurological or radiculopathy or peripheral neuropathy, you would want to, or they want to treat, or rather address those issues using relatively lower, under 2.0 ATA
Mm.
sessions.
And these are hour and a half sessions, so it takes about 15
You're
minutes.
right.
Yeah.
60 to 90 minutes. You're absolutely right? Between
Okay.
60 and 90, depending on what their physicians recommend. For wound healing and other application, the doctors would go 2.0 simply because of the Afrati studies in Tel Aviv University that the telomere length increased, or the probability of having stem cell proliferation would be a lot higher with the 2.0. Easier to work with the physicians, in my humble opinion, because they already tell us this is what they are looking for, and then we further narrow down the option to one or two models of which they pay.
And now you talked about having a diagnosis plus a prescription, right? So this person just had surgery, and so their prescription is to do 5 60-minute sessions or 12 90-minute sessions over the course of however many weeks. And that's coming from a doctor. So I could see how that would be easier. But if you have a person like myself that comes in and I say, I have an autoimmune condition and I'd like to have a chamber in my home, do you recommend me out to a doctor? Or can you help me figure out what I might need based off of all of the people that you've helped so far?
We are well versed with the various protocols and uses and understanding of what clients have told us that has worked with them. Ultimately, everybody is different and individual.
That's correct.
That it's not necessarily true that even though, for example, a Lyme patient, you may have one customer where 1.3 ATA knocks it out of the ballpark for them, brings them back to full vitality, whereas some people require 2.0 ATA.
Mm.
So sometimes we do tell customers to go to a local wellness center, test out a chamber at various pressures to see what the impact would be. Ultimately, we definitely have a large selection to recommend. We have soft chambers up to 1.5 ATA. Those are our top selling chambers. Most home users, we would recommend them to move into a 1.5 ATA chamber.
Mm.
Very cool. And do you have sit-up soft chambers or?
Oh, yeah. How many models of sit-ups do you have right now?
We have about 10 different models of sit-up soft chambers
Wow.
of various sizes.
And that's for the people who are either trying to multitask and bring their laptop into the chamber with them and do some work, right? Or
Or mobility challenge, limited range of motion. Yes, elderly or unfortunate accident or whatnot, and not in a position to be in a supine position.
yeah, when my fiance had spinal surgery in January, we signed him up for that Restore Hyper Wellness to get 12 sessions. And the doctor recommended we wait at least a couple of months. And it was massively impactful for him. But the problem was at Restore, they only have the lie down in the closest location to us. They don't have a sit up one. So it was very hard for him to get in and out of the chamber at 6'5" and just having back surgery. So I appreciate the fact that you guys have built so many soft chambers with a seat, because a lot of people feel kind of claustrophobic. When you lay down, you feel the pressure on your chest,
Right.
and then also it's just hard to get in and out of, for sure.
Even though I might add, for those chambers, in consideration of patients' anxiety and possible psychosomatic symptoms, we added additional windows. Michael, how many windows do we have? 11 windows on the Elite.
Yeah, we have the Elite model that has 5 windows on each side.
Plus 1, so 11 altogether. Just imagine how much light it would allow to enter inside from 11 windows when our competitors are using only 3 windows.
Right.
You do the math. 3 windows versus 11 windows.
Yeah, and I am claustrophobic. I grew up in New York City, and my first apartment was on the 6th floor, And most of the time, because it had a very dingy, very tiny elevator that I got stuck in the middle of July, and I have been claustrophobic ever since. So I ended up getting my exercise every single day, walking up and down 6 flights of stairs in New York City to my apartment with my groceries and my laundry. But I digress. So it's great that you guys are thinking through all of this. Do you have a customer feedback loop where you're not just innovating off of the top of your head and thinking, well, how can we make this better? But you're also getting feedback from your customers or the patients of the doctors that you work with.
Yes, very good question. All the time. So I have a set of, I would say at least a dozen suggestions that I will be working on this week and next week, which I received from a dentist and a surgeon, dental surgeon. So yes, absolutely. We receive feedback from healthcare professionals as well as home users. Healthcare professionals, they would have a detailed feature or suggestion, which is a little bit easier for us to work with or address. Some of them we cannot simply because of the design limitation. But to answer your question, yes, we do receive feedback, and using that feedback, work together with them and provide the solution that they're looking for. It's not the solution, it's rather enhancements.
Right. One of your reviews on the Biohacking Index was all about your customer service. And so from the time that someone is looking into buying an HBOT chamber all the way through acquiring it, you seem to be in touch with them all throughout the process. You help them with implementing it. You help them with monetization, right? So for a practice, I think I read that. And then my question was, let's just say they really love the new feature in a chamber that you've built, but they bought something from you in 2018. Can they do a swap out program? Do you offer anything like that for your current customers?
For some of our customers, we have offered a swap out program. There are always customers looking to get to a higher level, higher pressure, more feature sets. And we have worked out swap outs for those customers.
Lindsay, here is something that I wanted to interject. We're the only company in the entire United States, coast to coast, with over 130 5-star reviews. There's no other company. So I'm a bit biased, but I am very proud of my support team. Without their help, I couldn't achieve that.
Well, it's all about the customer and it's all about customer service, especially when you're working with people who are sick, who are injured, who are desperate. So another question along that lines, let's just say I do get Lyme disease and I am very, very sick and I can't afford an $8,500 chamber in my house and I can barely get myself to a wellness center down the street. What would you recommend for me?
Well, let's talk about the finances, Michael.
Well,
Share with her.
so we do have in-house financing. We try to make it affordable for all of our customers by providing them in-house financing. And that would look like 50% down and then payments over 6 to 12 months. And usually we can, work it out with the customers to make it affordable for them.
And in many cases, we offered that 6 months at 0% interest. Lindsay, you are a business person as well. How many companies do you know offering 0%?
None. I can't even get a credit card these days with 0% interest for any amount of time. So that's great that you're doing that for people because it's really all about access, right? It's about education, it's about safety, efficacy, customer service, and access. And that's one of the reasons why I was excited to have you on the show today because not a lot of people have even heard of hyperbarics. And so it's a constant struggle for people like me and people like you guys are marketers as well, to get the word out there. Now, do you have any of your celebrity clients who are willing to shout it from the rooftops?
Yeah, Steve Aoki.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Nice.
singers, some of the singers, should we mention the name? Very famous.
Kelly Clarkson called me
Yeah.
about 2 years ago. She bought a chamber.
Nice.
Gaga and several other celebrities. And, of course, the high net worth from California to New York, some of which I cannot quite disclose the names, but nonetheless, yes, they are.
Well, I love that Kelly Clarkson just called you up. She seems like a great human, and I know she was going through some health issues a couple of years ago. So, and she looks great now, thanks to you guys. So, in wrapping up, how can people reach you? How can they follow you? How can they contact you? And is there anything else you wanted to share with us today that we maybe didn't get a chance to talk about?
Any chamber inquiry or any ideas that you may have that you'd like to learn more about Hyperbaric, you could always reach out to us. www.oxygenhealthsystems. Oxygen health, as in, great health, systems, plural.com. And there's at least, a live standby salesperson or technical individuals, waiting there for you to answer.
Yeah, I see Michael's face on the bottom right-hand corner of
That is correct.
of the website. Well, that's great. So we're going to go to oxygenhealthsystems.com and check out all of the different chambers. Do you update your website with all the new cool stuff you have? I want to see this starlight on the top.
Everything on our website is transparent. We also do have a YouTube channel. There's videos linked on the website to our YouTube channel.
Also Instagram, same Oxygen Health Systems.
Okay. So just at Oxygen Health Systems for both of those, for YouTube and for Instagram. I know what I'm going to be doing in my long drive tomorrow. I'm going to be listening to a bunch of videos, and you have client testimonials too, I believe.
That is correct. We also have TikTok accounts saying Oxygen Health Systems.
I can't get it. I just can't get onto TikTok. I don't know what it is. I think because I'm preventing my teenage girls from being on it. I can't be a I
It's a challenge.
I can't be a hypocrite. But you guys are doing a great job with the development of your chambers, with the consulting with all of your clients, with the implementation, making sure that everything is safe, efficacious. You have tons of amazing reviews, and I feel so lucky to help amplify your story, get more chambers into homes and into practices around the country and beyond. And I'm just grateful for your time today.
Thank you. Same here. We also offer the actual virtual tour. So that's something that no one offers. Remember, I offered you, if you want to see the chambers, just blink and then we can show you all the models from the showroom. So we're the only company that would show or showcase the entire set of models virtually. Whether you're from Australia, New Zealand, or South Africa, we offer that to everyone.
Oh, that's great. I would love a virtual tour. Let's get that set up as soon as humanly possible.
Absolutely. Will do.
I would love that. Well, thank you guys so much. Good luck. You have a lot of conferences coming up.
That is correct. We'll be in Vegas. We'll be in Miami. Just wrapped up our Anaheim convention. So yeah, we are attending as many conferences as we possibly can. We're only 2. It's a lot of work, a lot of dedication, but nonetheless, we try to touch all of them.
That's great. Well, you guys are a great duo, and I can tell that you're not just friends and co-owners, but you're also family. I can see that you consider each other like brothers. That's
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Yes.
It's a family-run business. Oxygen Health Systems. Everybody go to oxygenhealthsystems.com. Check them out. Reach out. Get your virtual tour. Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of Optimize We. We loved having you along for the ride. Now, if you want to dive deeper into our guests' insights, be sure to follow them on their socials, because trust us, it's worth it. And don't forget to connect with us either. We're at wellnesseternal_. Stay updated, join the conversation, and be a part of the growing community. Until next time, stay inspired, stay optimizing, and we'll catch you in the next episode.